Safe and are doing great. Welcome back to my channel Young Tutor, and today we are going to start with the very first chapter of our civics book, which is democracy. So now we all are aware of the term democracy, but whereas and in this chapter we are going to learn about the features of democracy, how basically democracy works, what are the merits and what are the demerits of democracy, and how and what all are the features of democracy, and how can we differentiate between a democratic government and a non-democratic government. So let's get started. If you want, you can even take out your books and let's get started. So basically, what is democracy? इस democracy term का मतलब क्या होता है? So this is a simple definition. If anybody asks you for one marker, so this is the perfect definition which we could write in our examination, which is that democracy is a form of government in which leaders are elected by the people. Now I want you to emphasize over certain words over here, which is the form of government. This is the first term. Leaders is the second term, elected is the third term, and people is the very fourth term, with which these are the key pointers which makes our definition to democracy. Without these particular terms, without these particular key points, our definition to democracy is completely incomplete. These are the four major terms which makes up our definition for the term democracy. These are the key points. The key points. Okay. 1 minute. These are the key points which we all have to remember regarding the term democracy. Okay. Moving forward, now what is the true meaning of democracy? If somebody asks you that what is basically meant by democracy, you would only say that democracy is a form of government where the leaders are being elected by the people. But what if someone asks you to explain this particular term, explain this particular meaning of the word democracy? So as I told you that these are the four main important things, key pointers which we have to remember while we are referring to the term democracy, which is it is a form of government, elected, and fourth is the people. Now what do I mean by that it is a form of government? By this word I mean that there can be different form of governments, as we all are now aware of. That very first form of government could be a monarch government. Okay, it could be a monarchy. And government, it is not always referred as government also. So if you want, we can even, I'm not referring to this term only. It is a form of governing a country. So there could be different forms of governing a particular place, a particular country. The number one is monarchy. The second one is our democracy. The third one is our dictatorship. And there are various other forms as well, but we only have to remember, we only have to understand till these three, which is monarchy, democracy, and which is our dictatorship. Now first of all, what do I mean by democracy? So democracy is where the country is being governed by a particular person, or it is being governed by a group of his chiefs. Whereas in democracy it is a form of government where there are elected representatives by the people which are actually working for the people. Whereas in monarchy, the monarch basically works for, sometimes it can work for the welfare of the people as well, but basically it takes out the benefits out of the people, or it takes out the benefits out of certain aspects. Then we have dictatorship is kind of evil. Not evil is the right term, but it is little cruel, like where only there is only one person who is taking all the decisions. All the decisions have been taken or have been implemented by one particular person. So we can say that democracy, it is a form of government through various other forms of government. Then we talk about leaders. leaders or rulers. There could be two terms, leaders or rulers, and this term could be used and misused as well. So there could be two meanings of leaders as well, in a positive way and in a negative way as well. The term leaders could be taken up. Like, what do I mean if this term leaders has been taken up in a positive way? In a positive way means that there is a person or there are a group of people who are actually leading the country, who are working for the welfare, who are actually working for leading or giving the country a particular aim. So that is a leader. And leader could also be in a negative term, where it is just governing, like it is just putting its rule on. Whereas in this term, leader does not mean that it is putting its own rule. Rulers or leaders over here term means that they are helping us in the governing of our country, they're working for our country. Okay, then we have elected, or you can say elections, or we can say elections. So basically this is a process, this is a process through which people can elect their leaders, or people can elect the rulers they want to. And we people, also referred as janta, who are the ones who is basically going to perform the elections. And through these, wait, so we are basically the janta who is basically going to perform the elections, and who is basically going to elect the leaders as well. So people are the main core and the heart of democracy. In a democratic government, the people itself play the most important role. The people itself plays the most important role in a democratic government. Next, we have a pointer regarding which we have to think on now. The question is that how to differentiate between a democratic government and between a non-democratic government. So we can say that a democratic government is a government in which there are certain rights provided to the people, or provided to the citizens of its people. Whereas in a non-democratic country, the rights or the certain functions have not been provided to people, or if they're even provided, they are not provided equally. Like they're only provided to the higher caste or the upper caste, and not to the laborers or not to the lower caste. So it has to be equally. So a democracy has to be equally around the country. It has to be uniformly distributed. Then we have, if the people are having the right to vote. If yes, they're having a right to vote, then it is a democratic country. But if they are not having a right to vote, or if certain people are having and the others are not, then it is not a democratic country. Because in the decision making, all the citizens of the country were not participating. It was a passive democracy in which only few people were participating, and the decisions of the whole country was not being taken place in mind. And after the end of this chapter, we would be able to differentiate, we would be able to take out more differences between a democratic country and a non-democratic country. We're just doing certain points over here now. And the final decision making power, must lie in the hands of, sorry, it is not if, it is of the representatives, which is the people. So the final decision making power must always lie with the representatives. Why with the representatives, I'm saying? Because people are the ones who elect their representatives, and representatives takes or implements any decision with respect to the people. They keep their demands, they keep their thoughts and imaginations in their minds of the people while taking any kind of a decision. So the power must lie in the hands of the representatives, which directly or indirectly means that the power is basically lying in the hands of the people. Now let's better understand this with the help of an example. So this pointer which I have explained you, that the decision making power must lie with the people, could be better understood with the help of an example of a very famous country, like our neighboring country Pakistan. So let's study about Pakistan. Wait, let me take white. Yes, Pakistan. So basically I just wanted to focus on over these four pointers. General Pervez Musharraf led military coup, chief executive, and referendum. Definitely by just looking at these pointers you might not be able to understand that what am I trying to explain to you all. But my main pointer is that in Pakistan there was some person referred as General Pervez Musharraf who led a military coup. What is meant by military coup? That means that he attacked his own country and took the rule over, and the rule was taken over by the military people. So he led a military coup, and just after the military coup, he announced himself as the chief executive. Though there was a formal government, though there was a formal parliament, and though they all were elected, and they all were being through with all the processes, but they were not the ones who were basically governing the country. So in this case, was it a democratic country or non-democratic country? It is definitely an example of a non-democratic country, because there is a person who referred as General Pervez Musharraf who led a military coup, then announced himself as a chief executive, and then led a referendum. referendum मीन्स कि हाँ भाई हम इसको वोट करेंगे ऐसे करके उसने एक रेफरेंडम कर दिया, जिसके थ्रू उसको +5 years का एक्सटेंशन मिल गया, और 2002 में उसने अपने आप को प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ द कंट्री बना दिया. उसके बाद उसने एक लॉ पास किया, एंड इन इंडिया if any law is passed, it is very difficult to take that law back. So in the year 2002 उसने एक law pass किया, जिसके हिसाब से he had the authority, he had the power to dismiss the national and the state assemblies. जो भी पार्लियामेंट में बैठा है उन लोगों को डिसमिस करने का उसके पास एक राइट आ गया. So can we say that it is a completely example of a non-democratic country? Yes, we can. Now next we shall learn about the key features of democracy, and in the next lecture we're going to do that. And thank you so much for watching my video. Please subscribe and like to my channel Young Tutor. Thank you.